Okay. Um, so every hospital, every blood bank is going to have their own protocols, their own procedures. Um, we can you can fit our program to in whatever method you want to work. So just because I'm doing something one way doesn't mean you need to do it that way, but I'll get you at least familiar with it enough. So with that and the reading materials, we really don't get any calls from techs to say how do I do this, how do I do that. Um, we spend most of our fun time with the IT folks. So it's pretty intuitive for blood bankers, but there are some things that would be handy to know up front, so you don't have to fumble up for everything in the user guide. So I'm going to go through some real basic stuff, and then we'll get into a little bit of how you might approach a case. And let me say also that when we first wrote this program, there was not an algorithm to evaluate your test results, and people just used it to do selected cell panels. In fact, the Red Cross did a paper about 25 years ago saying it saved them 40% of the time that it takes them to do selected cells by hand. But and some people still use it that way after all these years. All they do is do selected cells. But we do a lot more than that now, and we think it's very useful, but it's up to you. If you just want to use it to do select cells, we won't argue with you. So how do you get the cells in there? Well, once you will have a shortcut on your desktop, undoubtedly, that will take you right to the place you want to be, and it will open up and look like this. And you may want to assign someone to do this when your red cells come in, or anyone can do it. So you just hit lot, and you go download lots from the internet, and there you go. So these are organized by expiration date. They're all the commercial suppliers are here. You can look at them by supplier, and you can organize them by lot number, or you leave the default and expiration date, and you can look for your um, lot by searching. Okay, so you guys use Immucor?
We do, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to show you the Immucor little trick we have. So Immucor, in their infinite wisdom, sends you the SUT paper, the supplemental unconfirmed typings. And so you may want to have some of those in port all the time, especially the F, which and again, in their infinite wisdom, they decided they don't need to type the F. But we still need to take it into account. So I was bringing the Fs. But so when you download, let's say we're getting this panel because it's just come in and we've got the box open. We go here, we get this, and we click this little SUT box. And what that means is you're going to be downloading those SUTs, and you're going to choose the ones you want. I was just messing around here. I'm going to remove that one. But once I do these, if I wanted I'm just going to take those. What I would normally do, and again, completely up to you, any of these additional antigens can be added to your data. It's up to you, but like I said, I always put the Fs in there. And once you put something in, it stays there until you take it out. So you don't have to go in every time and go, oh, I want this, I want this. You know the ones you want, they're going to be over here. You're going to say, okay, and then that panel is going to be in your database. I don't remember the number I just picked, but what was it? Oops, in the wrong place. On the ad screen. If I remember correctly, it was this one. And you can see that what it looks like. If you printed it out, this is a facsimile of, in the old sense of the word, of the sheet that you get from Immucor. But you don't even have to worry about this. It used to be that you had to print these out and compare them, each line, each cell, with the manufacturer, their paperwork, but you don't have to do that anymore because we do it electronically for you, unless you get Grifols panels, and if you do, we can talk about that after. But on all the others, they're already validated for you when they come down. All you have to do is put them in there, and then if you want to use them in work, you can choose them in the search screen, and they'll pop right up for you. And you can select all of them for working on, which you would normally do if you're doing a panel, or you can select just the ones you want. So that's how you get the lots in the database. Once they're in your database, they are contained in a table if you want to look at them that way. And this is sometimes handy for marking something out of stock if you run out a little more quickly than you can do it in other places. But you're not going to be in here a lot. But all your lots are recorded here that are in your inventory with their expiration dates. And if you want to mark them, if they've been treated, you can mark them that way too. Okay. So some other things we're going to do to get started. You're going to want to have your result columns for your worksheet come out the way you like them. So everybody starts out with the same thing. So you have a protocol in the lab. You decide which these columns. Well, you have a bunch of choices. You'll see you can have. Let's go to one. You can have an IAT, an enzyme, a DTT, or unevaluated. The IAT, you understand the enzymes. Obviously, that's not going to rule out enzymes or antibodies that are washed out or antigens that are washed out by the enzyme. Same thing for DTT. Unevaluated is for your spin because you're going to get some informative results from your spins, but you're not going to want to use them for exclusions. But they can appear on your worksheet and they will be in a gray column and it will be unevaluated. So this might be the way, and then I got some extra columns in here, the way I've set it up, but you can set it up in any way you want. You can call this lists, and you can add some information at the bottom to make it more specific. But once you set it up, that's the way it opens up for everyone. But once you're in a work or in a job, you can take some of these out. You can add new ones. You can do a lot of things. Are you using any analyzers? Are you using a Neo or Echo or anything?
We have the OrthoVision.
Oh, you have the Vision. Oh, let me see if let me see if I have a Vision hooked up here. I don't think so. I should have asked that earlier. Oh, I do. Okay. Let me see if I can. Get some vision panels in there. Let me think about that for a minute. Okay, we can go back to that later. Okay, so let's bracket the vision for right now. But there is a way to, we'll show you how to connect that. So you're eavesdropping on the stuff the vision's sending out to the information system, and you're taking that in and you can pull it in. So if you, let's say, I'm not going to do it with the vision because I didn't prepare, but I'm going to say import analyze the results, and I don't have any because I don't have any lately. So let me see if I can do it with one of the other ones. No, not that way. Let's see. No, I'm going to wait. Okay. So we've got, you can hook up your analyzer, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And there's a few things you can look for. Probably the way it comes is going to be the way you're going to keep it. But you can have any number of arrays for your standard work. When you're looking at the lot on this ad screen, every ImmuCore panel is going to be in the ImmuCore array, and if I switch to, let me find another lot here, switch to ortho, then you see it switches to the ortho array. But in your general work, it's going to be, you can change it anytime, but you're going to probably choose one that's standard, that's everyone's comfortable to work with, and that is, again, in the system options, the display order. So let's make an ortho one now, because they do give us the F. Okay, so now you're going to see that everything's in an ortho array. All right, a few other options. Using the algorithm to back up your conclusions, you probably want to have this check, display total negative reactions to heterozygous donors. We'll go over that when we come upon it. Nobody uses Marsh scale anymore, but they used to back in the day. And there's a few other things here that it's not worth getting into right now. You'll probably use them rarely, if at all. There's a few print options. You probably want to leave them on the defaults, but again, you can play with them. The search automatically when search criteria change. That was what I showed you. I put a lot number in here, and boom, everything showed up. If I put any criteria in here, everything's going to show up that has those characteristics. Okay. If I didn't have that automatically, I'd have a little search button here, and I could choose, 4 or 5, and then I could say search. But usually in a hospital setting, you're just going the other way is fine. You're not going to have 3,000 or 4,000 cells in there. Any questions at any time if I'm going too fast or if I'm saying
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Are you just going through like I wasn't here in the beginning, but is this just like an initial setup of like for the software, or what
No,
exactly
this has to do
are
with
we doing?
understanding how it's working in the lab. So what you need to do for that. The settings are just I'm telling you about the settings because they're the context which you'll be working, and you have some options there. I'm going over them rather quickly. It's all in the documentation, so you can look at those. But I'll try to get down into the more of the nitty gritty for the work on the bench and
Okay.
yeah. So I understand. I understand what it seems like. And in fact,
Yeah, it's just a little bit.
when I used to do demos, I would go through all of this, and everybody was like their heads were spinning, and they didn't want to hear if they didn't know the program. So I kind of wanted to give you a feel because this is sort of a different thing than a sales promotion. Okay, so let's not beat around the bush anymore and go straight to what it would look like if you weren't using the vision. I'll clear that out, and let's pull up pulled up a ortho screen cell. It's in date, and I selected it all. Now I go to my worksheet. Oops, let me get this. Sorry, thing out of the way. So I open my worksheet. Whoops, I didn't clear everything out of there before. So there we go. I get everything out. Get rid of that stuff. Select these again. Now I can open a coherent worksheet with those 3 cells. So now I've got my screen cells. I've got places for results, however you set them up. If you're using a gel system, then you don't have a check cell to worry about. So we just put in some results, and as soon as you put in some results, it starts to tell you some stuff, and I'm not paying attention to it just makes sense or not on the clinical level. But let's say I get this result. Okay, I have a positive screen, and so I'm going to have to test more cells. And what I can do at this point is I can select my patient. I could have done that first, but I happened to wait. But now I want to get a patient in there. If this patient is already in my records, I can search on any of these fields to find the patient, or I can enter a new patient here, and that will then become part of the database. So I'm just going to pick one that's already here, and then I'm going to save.
Alan, with those patients that were in there, is that from being linked to like a LIS system, or are they from, our staff when they, let's say they already did a workup or something, they put the patient's information in there?
Yeah, it's a great idea to get them out of the LIS, but we're not able to negotiate all those hurdles at the moment. So no, you have to enter them yourself.
Okay.
So when a new patient comes in, you're going to enter those few lines. You're required to put in a number, a name. I think date of birth is optional, but a number and a name, and then it'll be added to your list. You can add them anytime. You don't have to add them when you're working. If a patient come in, you can bring up a screen and select the patient, put in all the information for the patient, and then not save your work, but the patient will still be there.
And the specimen number, is that intended to be like a number identifier that's like a static number?
No,
So what?
yeah, specimen number we put in there when we started working with the analyzers because they are all controlled by specimen numbers, and we also understand that some people are sticklers about using specimen numbers for all their samples. So we allow you to put in a specimen number. If you put it in during your work, you must enter it every time you bring up that work on that patient before you save it. It's got to have the specimen number. If you enter it back in the options where we were, then you have to have it every time. We don't recommend that, but some people want to have the specimen number each time. But mainly it's the specimen number that's going to be used for getting your, putting your patient putting your patient's sample into the machine, and there's a specimen number involved. And when you download something from a machine, you're going to have to put that specimen number in there to continue the work. So you have to use it when you're using a vision, but you don't have to use it any other time. You can use it if you use it for an individual workup, then it needs to be continued for that individual workup, or you can have it required all the time. But probably you won't, and you only have to worry about it when you're using the vision because we do have to match it there. Okay, so I'm now going to save this, and I'm just going to, I can say anything in here, but I'm just going to say positive screen. These are free texts, so you can decide what you like to put in these situations. And I'm going to save it. Okay, and now I'm going to just have it go away and clear everything, clear my search criteria. And now, okay, I've saved that. I could have kept going, but I saved it because I'm going to lunch or someone else is going to do the rest of the workup or whatever. So now what do? I come in and I get that save panel, which is this one. Now we've got a screen.